Hello everyone, welcome to Roma Theory and also welcome to the last ever video as a 17-year-old. Yes, you've heard it, I'm turning 18 in a few hours, which is, I can't even get my head over this. I can start driving, I can start voting, but yeah, it's insane. So welcome to the last video as a 17-year-old, as a child, we can say. We've got it all to go through to today. As you probably read from today's title, my dear friends, Mourinho has asked something big. Reportedly, Mourinho has asked to get Totti as that name, you know, that referee mediator which Mourinho's always asked for after that Budapest final. And we've also got some very big updates on the stadium front. This is massive news. We've got some direct words coming from the mayor of Rome regarding the stadium. And as I've said many times, it would be absolutely massive to get this stadium done, because just Roma would go from being over here to over here with a privately owned stadium. So yeah, we're going to talk about these things, and while we're there, we're also going to talk about new sponsorships, because we still lack that main sponsor, and we're searching for it. So if you're ready for it, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. I want everybody to smash the like button, because it's the last live stream as a 17-year-old. So wish me luck and smash it. I want to start with the Totti news, because it's very big news. It's massive news, if you ask me. Because reportedly, as we just said, Mourinho has asked to appoint Francesco Totti as the referee mediator. I have to be very honest with you. In fact, we're going to break this down. Legend of the club. Legend of the game. And legend of this sport. Legend of sports, not just this sport. Loyalty, everything at its max. That is what Totti brought to this team. When you ask a random Roma fan, give me one word which reminds you of Roma, 99% of fans will say Totti. That is what Totti means to this fan base. And appointing him back in with an ownership role and with a behind the scenes role, I think would be massive for the club, because it would also be very respectful towards him. But obviously, I have to be very honest with you and say that the position and the role which Mourinho wants covered is the exact opposite that a person like Totti needs to take. And we're gonna get this through in a second. You know, Totti has said various times that the reason why he did not want to start a managerial career is because he doesn't have a character to go against human beings. He's not made to say to a player, you need to be better, I'm sitting you out. You know, and again, these are the aspects of life. Everybody is different. Everybody has different characteristics. Everybody has different personalities. You look at Mourinho, if something goes wrong with a player, he will easily say, no, you're sitting out to the next game. Somebody like Totti is not meant to do that. So, you know, if what Mourinho wants is a role which will clash against referees and demand for more power, let's all be honest here, this is a rubbish position to give somebody like Totti, because Totti is somebody which lives with a smile on his face. And if that's the case, then yes, he should be given a position in the interior of things, but definitely not this position, if you ask me. This position needs to be a position of somebody who's ready to protest, who's ready to go against decisions and referees' mistakes and all of that. And, you know, Mourinho's explicitly said this. And again, if he wants somebody to do that, then it shouldn't be Totti. If he wants somebody to align next to him but not clash against referees, then I think Totti is perfect for this. And we'll get into this in a second. Because if what Mourinho wants is somebody to align the power next to him, I think it's great. Because you're grabbing the symbol of this fan base, the symbol of this team, and putting him next to a manager which won everything in his career. So if that is the objective, this would be top class. But if Jose wants somebody to avoid himself going against referees, then I think this is wrong. Because if we go back to what he said after Budapest, it's I want to feel less isolated, and I want the entire ownership to take more responsibilities and claiming more power. And that's the only step which this team needs to make if they want to make that step. You know, big teams will have the power to bring referees' mistakes or referees' poor decisions down. And this is something which, you know, Mourinho has said publicly. This team doesn't. One of the reasons why this team isn't a big team is because it doesn't have the means to throw down a decision. And as we just said, I think it would be a very big mistake to put Totti in a position to do that, because it's not who he is. Perfect position for somebody to do that, in my opinion, is Boniek. We've been linked with him a few weeks ago. Zibi Boniek, I think, is perfect to do that. One, because he's got that character and personality. Two, because he is what? The vice president of UEFA or something like that? Or has got a very big, important position in UEFA. So he knows the hierarchy of UEFA and will, if something goes wrong, bring it to football court, if we want to call it that way. But yeah, other than that, regardless of whether it's going to be this role which he could get or something else, Totti needs to be brought back in terms of respect. You know, Totti has shown respect to not just the fan base, but to the club. And I think the club, as a club, needs to show that respect back to Totti and bring him back. He said many times that if the call comes to bring him back inside these things, he's going to run. He's not even going to think about it. But again, this is where I would like to bring everybody and ask yourself a few questions. Fredkins came 3 years ago. In the space of 3 years, the Fredkins have never even mentioned Totti, never even called Totti. And that's something big to acknowledge. You know, if Totti is the symbol of this, as I said before, fan base and team and club as a whole, why the hell is it that in the space of 3 years, the Fredkins never even dared to call him and bring him back? Do we need the manager to ask the ownership to bring him back in? And I think this is a massive consideration to make. If he has such a massive symbolism to this city, why is it they didn't call him earlier? And I think we could delve into and you know, spare hours speaking about the problems, the reasons for this, and that's not what I'm here to do. So with that being said, I do think that a Mourinho and Totti duo it belongs to the books. I mean, imagine a manager like Mourinho work with somebody like Francesco Totti. I mean, that is literally like the definition of Romanismo. Like, imagine the two working together. As you can read from today's thumbnail, it's a dream duo. I remember after the Monza game last year, Mourinho went live after the game to speak about the game, and Totti was there asking a few questions, and Mourinho called him Capitano. You see, it's these little details which suggest that if this duo does happen, it would be a duo to remember. It would be a duo to place in books, because imagine. And I would also say another thing. If continuing to the fact that in the space of 3 years under the Fredkins, they never even dared to call him and bring him back. If the manager is asking for a name like Francesco Totti, again, I personally think that means that Mourinho foresees his future here. Because otherwise, why would he ask for a name that the ownership has never considered in the past 3 years to align the power for him for the next 6 months, and then all done, quits? So I do think that another detail of this is that if he has actually called for Totti to be brought back in this, I think it means that he foresees his future here. And again, I'm not here to speak about contracts extensions because that's not the priority now. I mean, it is a priority because I've said it many times. Starting the season with a manager running out of his contract is terrible, but we got to get back winning. That's the number one priority. I think contracts can come later on. But yeah, I mean, I'm done with this. Speaking about the stadium, we've got big news on this stadium front because the mayor of Rome spoke today and he has said, he's basically promised and confirmed, if we can say, that the stadium will be built and that the objective is to open it up in 2027. Let's all be real. 2027, can it happen? No, it can't. They haven't even laid the foundations on it, and they're expecting to complete this stadium in 4 years. I mean, it can happen. It normally, these timescales normally happen in a country like Norway, not Italy. It can definitely happen if we speed things up. But for somebody who lives in this country and has spent his entire lifetime in this country, I can tell that building an entire stadium in the space of 3-4 years is impossible for the organization and schemes of this country. But no matter when it will be built and it will be ready, the important step here is to actually being the mayor actually confirming that it will be built. And I've said it many times, I think, first of all, private owns stadium just boost your name, your brand, the way you work. And even speaking and kind of sticking to this topic, power-wise, having a privately owned stadium puts you in a way more powerful position these days. And second thing, which I think is the most important reason to create a private stadium, is to lift the Italian football system from its ruins. Because it is not possible that out of 20 teams in the first tier of Italian football, only 4 stadiums are private. I mean, it is not possible. That is the definition of a rotten system. You know, people ask themselves, why is it that the Italian system, the circulation of money in the Italian system of football is poor? Everything links back to this. Everything's linked together. So the more teams to create private-owned stadiums, you know how much this lifts this entire organization and association from its ruins? It would be absolutely massive. And again, I'm speaking on the behalf of all the 20 teams because I want this country to develop and to be more proud of their football system. So as a Roma fan, I will proudly say that I want Lazio to build their own private stadium. And this is something which, you know, every single fan of the Serie A should want. Yes, culture is very important. Yes, history and all of that is nice. And San Siro is an incredibly historically and culturally incredible stadium. Yes, the Olimpico is a great stadium in terms of culture, in terms of history. But that's past mentality. You know, we gotta evolve like everything in life. Things evolve. So as much as Olimpico's great, San Siro's great, we have to evolve as an entire system. And by evolve, I mean as a whole, we all need to try and build as many private stadiums as possible. Is that complicated? Yes, it is, because a lot of these teams don't have the money to create. And that, again, that links back to why this system is so rotten. 15 out of 20 Serie A teams don't even have the money to replant their own grass in these stadiums. So that's something which obviously on the base of everything needs to be improved. But, you know, it's time to start moving on and building more of these new venues, high-tech venues, modern venues. I mean, we see it week in and week out when we play against teams like Fiorentina or teams like Empoli or teams like Monza or teams like Lecce. Like, we see it. When I do these live watch-alongs and everybody watches the games together, we all see it as a group how terrible the stadiums are. I mean, they look like absolutely broken down prisons. All of them. They look rotten. They've got moss growing all around them. So, and you can tell, you can see this from an outsider, and things need to move on. So obviously, having a confirmation, is it a promise? Is it a confirmation? I don't know. But for the mayor of Rome to say that the stadium will be built and it will be ready in 2027, I think is massive news. And this links to new sponsorships. One of the reasons why we haven't spent much money in these past seasons is because we've never had a fixed main sponsor in these past years. You know, we came to know that around April that our last main sponsor, Digital Bits, didn't pay us. So the fact that we have spent an entire summer without a main sponsor is definitely a reason behind, again, it has nothing to do with financial fair play, but you know, they bring money. Sponsors bring money. Sponsors bring money, and that money will be reinvested in the team. And the fact that we have spent, so many months without a main sponsor is poor for our finances. And we are still in search of our main sponsor to put on that kit. The new names both include 2 airlines, American Airlines 1 and Turkish Airlines 2. Again, I don't know the money that they would offer. I don't know the cultural background that they would offer. Yes, SPQR looks absolutely sick on that kit, but SPQR brings no money to this team. And yes, sad reality is I am a person who loves clean kits, or kits which make sense as a whole. So having SPQR on a Roma kit is fantastic because SPQR is the code of the city of Rome, created by the ancient Romans, but it brings no money. And again, as much as it is great to see, it's great to have, we need a main sponsor which is ready to pay us quite a lot of money, and that's just how it works. So I don't care who will it be. I couldn't give a crap of who our main sponsor would be. That's something which Lena, the CEO, Fredkins, and all of those people need to decide based on the costs, based on the things that they offer and all of that. But yeah, I guess the important news today was this Jose calling Totti thing, because it was definitely unexpected. But yeah, I think it would be great. But again, as I just said, I would not appoint him as a going against referee type person. Right, let's read some comments. This is gonna be crazy. Do you have to be 18 to drive? So in Italy, you can drive those shitty ass cars which like tremble all along when you're 16, but no thanks. I absolutely hate those cars. If you want to drive a real car, you do need to be 18. So yeah, turning 18 in a few hours, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a bit scared. Does Jose really do that though? He's sticking with Rui. My first memory of Totti is when I was 3, me and my family on the sofa screaming Totti, Totti, Totti before he scored. Best time of my life. The last game that I witnessed, that I remember very well of Totti, was the game where Spalletti subbed him in against Torino and we were 2-1 down, and he scored that incredible goal, because for a 40-year-old player scoring that goal and that agility is impressive, and then that penalty to win the game. Yeah, that was the last real game which I remember Totti play. Some Roma fans, including you, taking a swipe at Mourinho's tactics that took Roma to 2 finals make me laugh. You have a bunch of average injury-prone players with an average captain and academy player. topic of today wasn't that. So, yeah. I don't know why. The blame has to be shared between the players and the manager. The players aren't average. I agree. And I mean, I agree. You see, what I think in these moments, it's everyone's fault. But again, I've said this so many times, and there were people which hate on us when I say these things. But the blame needs to be shared. The blame needs to be shared. You know, I am the first one to say it's the player's fault, or it's the manager's fault, or it's everyone's fault. You know, when you don't win against Verona, yes, it's the player's fault, but it's also the manager's fault. And that is just the way it is. So I don't care if Mourinho is your idol, your god, and you don't want to blame him, but it needs to be shared. And if you don't share the blame in these moments, you're not being realistic. That's just my take on things. I would like to point out something which maybe people may be kind of misinterpreting. I am not fully blaming Mourinho. And I've said it, I am not Mourinho out. If you think I am Mourinho out, you're wrong. I am not Mourinho out. But in periods like this, you blame the players first and you blame the manager second. And I'm sure it will improve. But day by day, it's like that. Fix your defense, that's what I ask. Don't build your defense around an average Smalling. Jose never used to joke with his defense in the past. That brought him so much success. We should buy Buffon as a goalkeeper. Buffon is like Spalletti's vice, I believe, right? Italy playing tomorrow with a new manager, by the way. I believe Mancini and Romagnoli are going to be the starting centre-back duo. Yes. Rome Derby in defense. Anyways, I'm going to catch you very, very soon. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on today's topics about this Totti thing and about this new stadium thing. And I'm going to catch you very, very soon. Simo out. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Take care and talk to you soon. See you.